Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Man, February. I'm excited to go bass fishing like in February because the biggest bass of the year generally are caught in February if you look at the statistics. But heck, I'm excited to go fishing all the time, probably just like you are if you're watching this channel. So I've got baits for you. I've got 6 different baits, 2 different scenarios for February because it is truly all over the place. I'm going to break them down for you, and it's not going to be the top 3 baits. It's going to be the top 6 baits because I got 2 different scenarios coming at you right here. Okay, so February, like I said, I've caught bass on a buzz bait in the first week of February, and then at the end of February, I've seen it where like you don't even think there's a bass in the lake because you can't catch one. It seems like, you know, February here in Oklahoma, man, it can get really, really cold. Like I think some of our coldest temperatures of the year happen that second, third, fourth week of February, and I really think, you know, in my experience, I do a lot of wintertime fishing, a lot over the last 10 years. And January is always really good to me. And then February, it just always got tougher because I just felt like things got colder. You know, the shad are dying right now, you know, on our surrounding lakes, and the water temperature is only 46, but there were shad floating everywhere yesterday when I went fishing. But, you know, so there's just lots of scenarios in February, in my opinion. And that's why I'm going to do 6 baits. I'm going to do 3 baits for February and cold, muddy water. And I'm going to do 3 baits for February in the cleaner water. So I got a stained to muddy water baits, and I got a stained to clear water type bait. And as always with all these baits, you know, all the baits that we're going to talk about, you know, we give them all away with a box. You know, and this month's box is a really, really cool Plano Edge box. It's this box right here. It's a 3700 jigs and bladed jigs box. When you open it up, you look, it looks different than any other box out there. I got a bladed jig that I had tied on right here. This just fits right down in these grooves. You can actually stack a whole bunch of them up. You know, I can put 2 or 3 bladed jigs of that color right there, and you can see you can hold a lot of jigs in here. They stay really, really good. But this box will go with all these baits. Just for you guys leaving a comment, I'll go through there, randomly pick one of them, and you guys, just like we do every month, we'll give this stuff away just for you guys watching and following along. So for those stained water baits, you know, I think when you have stained and muddy water, that really takes fish and puts them up shallower. Like, you know, if you can only see so far in the water, I've always said, you know, like in this channel, especially later in the year, you know, how far you can see in the water, you kind of double that, and that's where I start fishing. Same things in February. If you can't see very far, I feel like those fish are going to be shallow. Another reason I feel like they're going to be shallow is the only warmth they're going to get is from the sun, you know. So I know it's going to be super cold, but keep that in mind. And a couple other things to keep in mind in February in all your fishing, no matter if it's clear or stained water. Think about that sun and think about how it positions bass. Think about when you get a bite. So many times you'll make a cast out there and that bait starts to fall, like in the first 6 feet of a cast with a crankbait, and you'll get that bite. Or you'll get that bite in the last 10 feet when that bait's starting to come up. And I guess why I'm saying that is, I think a lot of times a mistake I make this time of year is I fish beneath them. And why I think that is, I think they're up. I think they're trying to get closer to the surface because that surface water is very volatile at times, you know, but it'll warm the quickest. It also cools the quickest. But when you have a sunny day, I think those fish get up in the water column. I think the sun's your biggest friend in the wintertime fishing, you know, especially in cold, muddy water, you know, and that's why I say shallow. I truly believe, you know, they're going to come up in those sunny days. You know, those are the days that water warms the quickest. Those are the days that really pay attention to your bait, because so many times, I can't tell you through my career that when I went from a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait to a 3/8 ounce spinnerbait, my bite you know, ratio went way up. And the deal is, I can reel that 3/8 ounce spinnerbait that much slower, and yet it's up in the water column a little more. You know, like if you're throwing a 1/2 ounce spinnerbait, to reel it slow, it's getting deeper. And I don't think that's always the thing that you want on those sunny days, because those fish are coming up. I just think that's a mistake I make a lot, is fish beneath the fish in these cold water conditions. You know, I know that sounds weird, but it's a fact. I can just tell you, it truly, truly is a fact. So with that said, let me talk about 3 baits in February in that stain to clear water. Number 1 bait, like a spinner bait. You know, single Colorado. I love the coleslaw color. I love a white painted blade. You know, it's just a favorite of mine. Like, I have the utmost confidence in this thing, you know, because I can reel it slow, and it just makes it. It's just a slow bait. I can keep it up in the water column. I can, and think about this too. In that stained muddy water, those fish are going to be next to something. You know, a lot of people think that fish roam on cloudy days and all that. I think in stained muddy water, cloudy day, sunny day, it doesn't matter. When it's that dirty, a fish wants to be next to something. So if you've got this stump right here, you know, you got this stump, he knows when he's got that stump, and he's going to stay tight to that because he's protected. That's his home. He can feel it right there. He knows he's safe right there. He knows that's his zone. So always throw your bait as close to stuff that you can. Anything vertical, especially like dock post, standing timber, stumps, anything like that, to where a fish can move up and down, but yet they can keep up, sucked up tight to it. This bait right here for me is a February killer. Another one, you know, as you get a little bit warmer, a vibrating jig. You know, you cannot go wrong with a vibrating jig. I like this bait because I can also reel it slow. I can keep it up in the water column. You know, these 2 baits are really kind of interchangeable. I prefer this one just because I got more confidence in it, to be honest with you, when it's really cold. As it warms up, this is when this one, you know, gets a little bit more in my comfort zone. Or if the fish get even up higher in the water column, I think this one really shines. You know, I didn't bring them out here, but, you know, a lot of times I'll put the 4.5 inch power swimmer, power blade, you know, on the back of this thing to help slow it down, to help give it buoyancy, to help keep it up in the water column as I can reel it slower. So, you know, a vibrating jig, a spinner bait, then last, you know, just a jig. You know, just those situations when you've got to throw a jig, you know, when they're relating down to the bottom, you know, I take a black and blue jig and I'll put a blue sapphire trailer. Guys, I can just tell you, like, that trailer color in mud, I fished my pond out. It's funny here at the house. I've got a really clear pond. I got a really muddy pond. You know, for you guys that have been here, you know, that color right there will get way more bites in chocolate milk than black and blue or black and neon. I mean, that I don't know why, but I prove it all the time out there. And them stupid bass that are in my pond, they're not very stupid. They're hard to catch. I can get a lot more bites on that bait. So, you know, that's 3 baits for stained muddy water in February. Really pay attention to the depth of those fish. Pay attention to if that bite comes, you know, as that bait's falling, as it's coming up, that's going to tell you that, you know, you need to keep your bait up higher. I truly think that's the case. Okay, so for 3 baits for you guys, you know, let's just say right here in Oklahoma, we got Skytook Lake, we got 10 Killer, we got Table Rock, we got Lake of the Ozarks, we got those East Texas lakes that I just came back from down in Toledo Bend. Those lakes are a lot clearer. So it's a different set of baits. You know, you can find stained water on all those lakes I mentioned, and those baits will work. But if you're down on that lower end, these aren't the baits I want tied on, because now those fish are going to relate deeper. If I can see 3 foot in the water, I need to start 6, 8, 10 feet, you know, deeper in those situations. So, you know, without a doubt, guys, a jerk bait. You know, you just cannot go wrong with a jerk bait. You know, this one right here is Northern Lights. It's a 112 plus 1. It's just one that I have tied on when I've got really clean water, not a lot of wind. You know, those really tough conditions when you're like needing some wind, you know, this is the one when you don't have that, because it's a transparent bait. I can see through it. You know, sunny, clear water. I want more of a transparent bait, something that a fish can't pick up on. I love, you know, we talk all the time. We've talked a lot on this channel about, you know, just the white color, you know, stunnas, and those are great in those cloudy conditions. Those are great in a little bit more stained water. But, you know, we're setting this video up here for that clear water situation, and that's the bait I'm going to have tied on. Another bait that I'm going to have tied on is a dime. This is a really compact. It's a tight wobble. It gets a little deeper than my Fritz side. This one's here is the Ghost Red Crawl. You can see through it. It's really transparent. You know, it's a really good bait. I don't know what it is about red in the spring. You know, it's not just that fish are feeding on crawdads, because it has something to do with the shad too, because this will work when those fish are feeding on shad, I promise you. Just something about red in the spring. They really, really like it. They really eat it. And this Ghost Red Crawl is a great, great color for those situations. You know, I just have it tied on, 10-pound test, cranking rod. I also have the Dime 10 tied on, the one that gets a little bit deeper, the Dime 15. But that Ghost Red Crawl is going to be one that I'm going to have tied on a lot in February in those really cold situations. And then last, the Money Badger. This is a Ghost Green Crawl right here. I like the 625 and the 675. I throw both these on 10-pound tests, but that's another transparent bait. It's got a really wide type wobble to it that really bangs and deflects off rocks. It's a really good killer over on Grand or Table Rock or any of those rock lakes that you throw like a rock style bait, those Wiggle War style baits. You know, Berkley's come out with the Money Badger, their version of it. And it's been really, really successful for me and a lot of other anglers, that bait right there. A couple things about these, you know, again, pay attention to when you get that bite. Did you deflect it off something? Did you pause it? How long did you pause it? Change up that retrieve. You know, I will a lot. I've done videos on this too where it's a pull, pause, reel up to slack, pull, pause, reel up to slack. That's one of my favorite retrieves when it's really, really cold with crankbaits. You know, with that jerk bait, same thing. There's going to be days that you're going to want to jerk it fairly quick. There's going to be days that you're going to want to slow it down a little bit, let it pause. That's one thing that I'll tell you about, like this color, the Northern Lights, versus the other Stunnas. If you've thrown them, the other Stunnas have more paint on them. They'll sink a little quicker than this bait. So I'll add a bigger hook. You know, this has got number 6s on it. I'll put a number 5 on the front, or maybe 2 number 5s, or maybe put a little piece of lead on it, because I want it to slow sink. And especially when I'm trying to get it down to that, you know, 8, 9, 10, 12-foot depth range, you know, try to call a fish out of a brush pile. The ones, you know, your transparent baits, they don't have as much weight because they don't have as much paint on them. So add either a little bit bigger hooks, or add a little bit of like a suspended lead strip or some wire around that front hook to help get it down. You don't want it sinking too fast, and you kind of want it to sink, you know, at that angle. You don't want it like this, you know, kind of just a little bit of a nose down angle. That way, when the first time you jerk it, it's all going to be proper. That is a really quick rendition of 6 baits that we're going to give away next month, because one of you guys are going to leave a comment on here and tell me why you liked the video, and I'm going to go through there and randomly pick them. For my last month, we gave away 3 baits, and I am going to tell you, I went through there and randomly picked them, and I have got, let's give that stuff away from last month, and all you guys have to do, send me an email. You send me one. I'm not sending you one. You send me an email through my website, edwinweavers.com, really simple, with your name and address. But I've got Daniel Hedrick 9917. He's asking, where are the pond build update videos waiting on the smallmouth pond in your backyard? Well, you're the winner, Daniel, and I want to answer your question just because I think it's a great question. So I did a little social media piece on the smallmouth pond. I got it stocked. I put 100 6-inch smallmouth in it. I put, I don't remember, fathead minnows. I put some other minnow, and I put bluegill in it. Then the pond above it, if you remember the pond series that we built, and anybody that doesn't know, me and a buddy, we built a couple ponds out here and kind of documented here on YouTube. The pond above it, I put hybrid bluegill, them ones that are supposed to get to 2 to 3 pounds. So that's kind of the update on that. I've got to get some fish feeders put on there. I put a bunch of mossback fish habitat in them, got all kinds of rocks, but they are completely full. That smallmouth pond actually filled up completely full out the spillway. I irrigated a bunch out of that smallmouth pond over the summer, or it would have filled up. It's a really deep pond. I'm not ever worried about hurting those fish. But on that note, I didn't really plan on announcing this, but I finally got approved to build the big lake. You know, I kind of 2.5 years ago, guys, I talked about and showed you the plans and of this big 35-acre lake that I want to build, I got the notice that I got approved for it. So that's kind of exciting. There's a long, drawn-out process that I have to do even before I can move dirt. I've got to plant a lot of trees, build a lot of fence. I got a lot to do, like a lot of work to do, and I've got to come up with the money because, heck, that was 2.5 years ago. I spent all that money on a pecan shop and a business and all that other stuff. So now I've got to come up with the money, try to do that, and I got a lot of work to do to get trees planted. But I am excited. I did get approved, so now I'm not wondering anymore, will I ever get approved? So, you know, if we go down that road and we get it all done, I'm going to have a whole YouTube series on building that lake and all the projects with it because there's a lot. All right, good question, Daniel. Send me an email, buddy. I appreciate the question. Okay, my next winner, I got Nick Sereno. Love the videos. Thanks for the information, man. Thanks for sending the comment, Nick, being a subscriber. I will mail each one of those baits from last month's video that you left this on to you. And then finally, I've got Flying Fish, F-L-Y-N Fish, kind of a cool name there. Nice to get a look at some of the new lures, the Vibrato. It's a bait we talked about last month. Definitely looks to be the ticket in our colder water in West Virginia. Thanks again for the great information. Yep, I hope that Vibrato helps you. For leaving that comment, buddy, send me your address and I will get my wife to ship those out to you. But there's the winners on these baits here. One of you guys will be a winner next month. Just leave your comment and I will go down through there and randomly pick them. Guys, with that said, man, be sure you hit that like button. Be sure you're a subscriber and that bell. All that stuff really helps the YouTube channel, helps the algorithm. I know everybody in every video you watch, everybody always says it to you. But I appreciate you guys following along. I appreciate the support. And yeah, that's my baits for February. I hope it helps you.